I like my horse. I think he's got a good acceleration. I'm going to use that to my advantage today.
But on the outside, Volkstok'n'barrell is sprinted. Preferment, Volkstok'n'barrell. Hello Crown, the inside keeps coming. It's the Derby winner, Victorian Derby Preferment in front. Volkstok'n'barrell is driving on the outside. Volkstok'n'barrell lunges and got up to win it.
The Kiwis take the Group 1 Rosehill Guineas. Craig Williams driving Volkstok'n'barrell to a narrow victory over Preferment.
Volkstok'n'barrell takes out the Rosehill Guineas, as you can see there, for trainer Donald Logan and Craig Williams. A super win there in Sydney over the weekend, and we're kindly joined by part owner, Hall of Fame trainer Jim Gibbs. Thanks for coming up today, and congratulations, a huge thrill.
It was a big thrill, probably one of my greatest thrills. I've been fortunate to win a lot of nice races, but that one gave me a buzz because I felt, how are we going to measure up to Hallowed Crown? And we've got to remember the third horse ran third in the Cox Plate, Butch. And Australian, that good horse they rate, that's international form. And I thought he's got another 6 months on him, so he's matured a bit. And we've got to come from New Zealand, as Donna said, Ruakaka, and meet these guys. And he measured up. He
sure did measure up, Jim. And look, it's just a great effort from all concerned to bring him back from that Derby trip, 2,400 metres. He's freshened up a little bit. He's back to 2,000 metres. And with all that's gone on with that stable in the past 3 weeks since the Derby, they could have easily lost sight of the ball, but they haven't. They've put this horse first. They've done it in the memory of Dean. It would have been his birthday on Saturday, and it was just so prophetic that he was able to do the job, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a great effort by Donna and the team. Did a great job with him. I actually saw him when I attended Dean's funeral. I saw the horse the next day at the stables, and he was in magnificent order to go and compete again.
How did you first get involved in him? I mean, how did you become an owner?
Well, I had a bit of a idea after looking through the catalogue, and I did speak to Donna and say there was a Tavistock out of a Volksrad mare that might be worth a look, and then I forgot about him. And I happened to be attending a Group 1 race in the South Island with my paces, and he duly won a horse called Hug the Wind, and I was being entertained by Wrightsons at the table, having a glass of wine. The race was about an hour away, and the phone went, it was Donna. And she said, I bought that horse that you said to have a look at, and I sort of said, which one's that? And she said, oh, he's a Tavistock out of a Volksrad mare. And I said, oh, yes, I remember. Well, what did you must have liked him. She said, he ticks all the boxes, Jim. I said, well, what did he ring me for? And she said, well, there's 25% left in him. Do you want it? And I said, what'd you pay? She said, 50. I said, deal done. And that's how I became an owner. So a bit lucky.
But when you first saw him, you didn't like him that much.
When I first saw him at George Simon's, he'd been broken and had gone back to George's place. And Mary Ann brought him out and they paraded him. And I thought, oh, he's a big, lengthy fella. He's going to take some time. And, you know, I thought, oh, well, who knows? So he's gone on and done the job. So there's only one way on the track, eh?
You didn't make it to Sydney for the race,
No, well,
Jim.
Ann's got a broken leg in
she's
3
in
places. I could have got permission to go, couldn't I?
I don't reckon. It's not what you told me on the way up here. You said you wanted to, but she wouldn't give you a leave pass.
Handbrake, handbrake, as Jello says. No, it was pretty good. No, I didn't want to go without her. But we should go to the Derby. She'll be walking by then. Might have to have the crutches, but she should be walking today.
Yeah, you'll have to go to that.
I'm definitely going to book, mate. I'm going to Derby at Christchurch with my pacer, and I'm going to Derby over there.
Yeah, back to this horse. He's a real sort of horse that Donna buys, though, isn't he? She buys them with that scope and that size, and you can see him there. He fills the eye.
But you can see how look at him here. Look at the middle through there. And
yeah.
For mine on Saturday, I thought he paraded the best I've seen him in all his runs.
Yeah.
I thought he looked magnificent in the parade ring at Rosehill. He looks like he's maturing into a really nice horse, and yeah. Well, is he be a Cox Plate horse, Jim?
He could be. He could be. I think that's Cox Plate form, what he did Saturday, to be honest. Yeah. And I've always had, I keep my feet on the ground with horses. But Chris rang me and said, Dad, he went over Wednesday night. He never got into the stable till 10:30 at night. Left a little bit of feed the first night. He done very well. And Chris is back pretty fit and rode him work. He said at home he's just like an old camel to ride round.
Yeah.
He said, Dad, he's up on the bit over here. He's smartened up, you know, just with the atmosphere. And he's done very well. And he's done very well since the run.
The second horse is no mug. Look, he's gone on. He's won the Victorian Derby, and he'll be very competitive.
Well, Hallowed Crown had won what, 5 from 6 or 4 from 5. They paid huge money for him to be a stallion. Look, that's outstanding form.
Outstanding form. The fourth horse ran third in the Cox Plate.
And you watch him, he's still getting there.
Yeah.
For mine, the legs go a couple of times in the straight. He switches. He's pins the ears back at the line. Like, he's not the finished article yet. He's just still climbing. Oh, he's exciting.
Yeah. 50,000's looking pretty cheap now, Jim. Have you had offers for him?
No, there's big money bandied round,
yeah.
And he's changed hands to Rosemount Stud. Everybody, or some people sold a little bit of a share in him and that. So Rosemount owned 20, and now they own 30, I think. Somebody sold another 10% the other day. And the money's crept up. The money they were talking about him is quite mind-boggling, actually.
But why wouldn't it be? It was interesting listening to Anthony Mithen after the race, and said that he'd had a lot of people ask him why you'd buy a share in a gelding. He said, well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Look at this.
Exactly.
How can you have this fun? How can you have this advertising with their colours on them and all of those things? And I thought it was a great answer. Why wouldn't you? And yeah, look, he's so exciting. And Ashley Goodwin, he's been a long-time client of Donna's, hasn't he? Well, Donna and Dean's, a long-time client, and great that he's involved in this one as well.
Yeah, it's very good to have Ashley. You know, he actually sold out a bit pretty cheaply. I think Chrissy bought his share and then he bought back in. So good on him. He backed his judgment and bought back in.
Jimmy Shue Bush, he won a Rosehill Guineas. He went on to the Derby, failed. Do you think Volkstok'n'barrell is better than Jimmy Shue?
Yep.
So do I.
I do.
Darryl?
Jimmy Shue should have won a Cox Plate too. Well, could have won a Cox Plate.
Yeah.
See, there's no rules with these horses, but he's so relaxed and he goes so kindly. And let's take Golden Khan out. You know, he'd won the Derby by 5 lengths, so you would have said he stayed well. And Randwick's going to be a bit tougher. It's uphill a bit, and it'll be a bit tougher. But I think the run's going to bring him on, even though he's, you know, it's going to bring him on. He's doing well.
Well, I think the second horse is the horse to beat in the Derby, isn't
Clearly.
it? Like he's on the way up, and it gets to his trip, and he's going to be peaking at the right time.
But it's not going to be a big field. I can't see it being a big field. I thought, what, 8 or 10 maybe?
Yeah. I thought Craig's ride was outstanding on Saturday.
Yeah. He's a thorough professional, isn't he?
He was on the fence, and he just popped off the fence straight in behind Mongolian Khan. Yeah, once he got off the fence and they went 200 metres, he's just in a beautiful rhythm, wasn't he?
Must give you great comfort, Jim, as an owner, to know that you've got a jockey that's been engaged for the first time on this horse. The homework that he's done on him, you know, you could just tell around behind the gate saying what he knew.
Yeah, well, he just said to Chris, when Chris met him before the race, he gave him a slap like this and said, we'll sprint quicker than all these.
Yeah.
Phil, he got some confidence, wouldn't
So he'd done his tapes, and he'd done, and from what I gather and talking to Donna, they really chased the ride as well.
Yes, they did chase the ride. They rang all the time. I was a bit keen on either James or Bowman, and Craig was a good choice for next, but who's going to ride him in the Derby, I don't know. I've asked Donna. She hasn't answered my call yet.
What's your recommendation?
Well, Bowman's on. I don't know if Cummings' horse is going to run. He probably will. I think James will be knocking on the door, and James is a close friend. So it'll be a difficult decision. Unless Sway Ness runs, he's got to ride Sway Ness.
But Bowman won't ride. Hallowed Crown will go to the Doncaster. He's not going to Derby, so
well,
Bowman will
be a couple of boys
Jim.
knocking. But
there you go.
I'm happy to stay with Williams personally, but Donna makes the last call.
Hard to take off a winning rider, isn't it?
Courtney Barnes.
Case in point. Mongolian Khan, what did you make of the run?
He was disappointing, wasn't he? In saying that, though, he raced fresh, and that was what they were always worried about, that he was going to do that. But Geez, going to have to turn it around big time to turn around that margin. But those first three, Volkstok'n'barrell, Preferment and Hallowed Crown, they put a space in the rest of them.
Yeah, they did. He looked totally like a tired horse to me, Mongolian Khan, just for mine.
I think we underestimate what this horse has done. Volkstok'n'barrell. Some can.
I'm his biggest fan.
To bring him back from that derby, like that was two outstanding horses going head to head in our derby, and they put 5.5 lengths between them and the rest. And you can allow for Mongolian Khan to be a tired horse.
For sure.
And this other horse has bounced through it.
He's a super athlete. Super athlete.
Jim, since you're retired, you've had a bit of fun, obviously, with this bloke, Volkstok'n'barrell, but Durham Town's been a bit of an old favourite too, I'm sure.
I've been retired 8 years, and it was my 70th winner as an owner from retirement the other day.
Fantastic.
Thoroughbreds.
Yeah,
Okay.
paces and everything. Yeah,
but
counting them all.
counting them all.
I've had a bit of luck. I've had a few slow ones on the way too. You get them.
This must have been a special win, Jim, because as you said before, you know, you've been friends of Dean and Donna's and associated for a long, long time. And as we know, Dean was coming to the end of it here, and for Bobby to do this on that day was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yes, he's been a good handy old horse, and I've enjoyed racing him with my partners. Yeah, been good, great.
They have a lot of fun. John Hart even got away from the cricket to get there to watch.
Yes, it was great. John arrived on track and was there for about half an hour, and then we got back and got a buzz, because what a great finish to the cricket. Against Aussie. Yeah, good.
You touched on your paces. I mean, you've got Fight for Glory, you've got Hug the Wind, Alter Orlando. Man, you're in a few good ones.
Yeah, a bit fortunate there. Very lucky to have Mark Purdon and Natalie Rasmussen training. Lucky to get in their stable. I think they do a great job. You're only as good as the horses you got, of course, but I think they're outstanding. I respect them a lot. Lucky to be there.
What was the number you gave me on the way up here in the car? 36 paces you've had, and you've got 35 checks, is that right?
Yeah, I've had, I did have a horse filly called Roselski with Mark, and she won 5 or 6, and she's gone to stud. Not with me, I've sold her on. Alter Orlando, Fight for Glory, and Hug the Wind have had 36 starts, and I've had 35 checks. They've won nearly 800,000. I've got shares in them. And, you know, honestly, Fight for Glory had won more money than Volkstok'n'barrell. She's the same age until he won the Rosehill Guineas.
Amazing.
And he's won 3 majors here in New Zealand. He won the Bone Crush, he won the 100,000, he won the Guineas. And so that's quite amazing.
Yeah.
So there's money there for 2 and 3 year olds. And there's only about 400 to pick from at the sales against 2,000 thoroughbreds. And you've got Mark sorting them down too. So your chances are pretty good. So I'd like to say that to the pacing people. Thank you. They've really respected Anne and I since we've been in. We've met some lovely, lovely friends. And we've been very lucky.
Yeah.
You mentioned your biggest ownership thrill was on the weekend with Volkstok'n'barrell. As a trainer, what was your biggest thrill then?
Oh, as a trainer?
As a trainer, yeah.
Well, I still had a licence when Doremus won the Cup, so you can't beat that. Everybody, like when I stood in the birdcage and I had a share in Doremus, I owned him and then sold him on, had a share. I looked up in that grandstand and I know Lloyd Williams and Mr. Packer were up there, buy and sell me millions time over. But they'd have loved to have been down there in the birdcage because they'd spent millions trying to get a Melbourne Cup horse. And I was looking up in that grandstand. I didn't sort of realise till the next day, just everybody wants to have a Melbourne Cup winner.
Yeah.
But this horse on Saturday gave me a real buzz because I thought, will he measure up? And he did. So I was very excited about that. And this old horse nearly won 2 Melbourne Cups, you know. He ran in 4.
So he ran in 4?
He ran in 4 Melbourne Cups. He ran first, second, and he was unlucky one year. And he ran in 3 Caulfield Cups, first, second, and 4th. And he won a Queen Elizabeth. There's a minder on the right, like supposed to be looking after the cup. That night at the pub, we went to this pub and I saw the cup. Everybody had it. And they were all drinking out of the cup. slurping in the cup. And I said, do you want a drink? I said, no, thank you.
Not now.
What about after he won the Caulfield Cup, when you're at the after party and Freeman asked you?
Well, the Remus was fairly lightly built horse. And when he won the Cup as a 5-year-old, the Caulfield Cup, late in the night at the party, we'd all had a few drinks. And I sidled up to Freedman and said to him, where are you going to run this horse next, Lee? He said, oh, probably the McKinnon Stakes. That's the usual procedure. I said, you're joking. You can't run this horse in the McKinnon Stakes. I said, there's nothing of him. He's light. And I said, I appreciate him winning the Caulfield Cup. He turned around and said to me, I've just won the Caulfield Cup for you. And he's trying to tell me what to do, he said. Bugger off. I deserved it. But he didn't run him. His next run was the Melbourne Cup, which he won. And he took him to Sandown on a Saturday morning and let him have a quiet workout there. Not so much stress. And the little comment came out in the paper about 4 days before the Melbourne Cup. It was in the Waikato Times. If I run him in the McKinnon Stakes, a guy in New Zealand, a little trainer there called Jim Gibbs, got a share of kittens. And anyway, who knows?
Proved to be correct, eh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was a clean-winded horse, you know.
Hey, thanks so much for coming up today. Congratulations on your success with Volkstok'n'barrell on the weekend, and we'll be watching him with so much interest in the ACT or ATC Derby in a couple of weeks' time. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think he's good for New Zealand racing.
Fantastic.
We needed this. I hope he can carry on. He's got a following now, and just let's hope he can keep doing it for everybody.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Thanks for having us on the show, boys.
No problem. Jim
Thanks,
Gibbs
Jim.
with us here on Weigh In. More from Rose Hill coming up.
Gay Waterhouse reigned supreme at Rose Hill on Saturday, claiming 2 Group 1 events, including the $3.5 million Golden Slipper with Vancouver. Even drawing the widest alley did nothing to dent the confidence of racing's First Lady, and jockey Tommy Berry landed the strapping son of Medalio d'Oro in a handy position with cover.
And it's Haybar just the leader from Haptic in second. Headwater trying hard from Speak Fondly. Now Vancouver, English and right down the outsiders ready for victory. It's Vancouver and English racing to the front. Headwater fights on. Furnaces has got the run on the inside. Ready for victory, wide out. It's Vancouver with his head in front from English. And Vancouver, the favourite, roars away for Tommy Berry.
Not only did Waterhouse Quinella the race, with English running second, but she also claimed her 6th slipper, equalling the record set by her late father, TJ Smith, while it was slipper number 2 for Berry, who also triumphed in 2013.